What if the real reason your weight isn't changing has nothing to do with food? What if the problem isn't your workout routine, your metabolism, or your diet plan? What if the missing piece is something you do every night or don't do enough of? In this video, we examine peer-reviewed scientific evidence and expert medical consensus on the relationship between sleep and weight loss. With research updated through 2025, we analyze how sleep duration and quality influence appetite regulation, metabolic function, hormonal signaling, and body composition. The discussion is evidence-based, professional, and precise, with a focus on clarity rather than motivation or speculation. For years, weight loss has been explained using a simple formula: eat less and move more. While that equation isn't wrong, it's incomplete. Over the last 2 decades, and especially in recent research leading into 2025, scientists have made one thing increasingly clear. Sleep is not a passive background activity. It is an active biological process that plays a central role in how the body regulates weight. Most sleep and public health experts agree that adults need at least 7 hours of sleep per night, with many people functioning best closer to 8 or 9. This recommendation is not about productivity or lifestyle optimization. It is based on how the brain and body regulate hormones, energy use, and recovery. When sleep consistently falls below this range, the risk of weight gain and obesity increases. This relationship has been observed across different countries, age groups, and study designs, which is why sleep duration is now considered a core factor in metabolic health. One of the strongest ways sleep influences weight loss is through calorie intake. When people sleep less, they tend to eat more. This pattern shows up repeatedly in controlled laboratory studies and real-world trials. Sleep deprivation increases total daily energy intake, often without people consciously realizing it. Importantly, newer research has shown the opposite effect as well. When habitual short sleepers are helped to extend their sleep, their calorie intake decreases naturally, even without being told to change their diet. In practical terms, better sleep can create a calorie deficit on its own. This happens for several reasons at once. Being awake longer increases opportunities to eat, especially late at night when willpower is low and food choices are rarely ideal. But the effect goes deeper than opportunity alone. Sleep deprivation changes how the brain responds to food. Reward centers become more sensitive to high-calorie foods, while regions responsible for impulse control and long-term planning become less active. This is why tired brains crave fast, rewarding energy, and struggle with restraint. It's not a character flaw. It's biology doing what it evolved to do. Hunger hormones often get the spotlight in this discussion, and for good reason. Ghrelin, which stimulates appetite, and leptin, which signals fullness, are both influenced by sleep. Many studies show that short sleep increases ghrelin and reduces leptin, creating a hormonal environment that encourages eating. However, experts are careful to note that hormonal responses can vary between individuals and study conditions. The more important takeaway is not any single hormone change, but the consistent outcome. People who don't sleep enough experience stronger hunger signals and reduced satiety. Sleep loss also affects food preferences. Research reviews consistently show that insufficient sleep shifts eating patterns toward refined carbohydrates, added sugars, and high-fat foods. When the brain is tired, it prioritizes immediate energy and reward. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. A fatigued organism seeks quick fuel. In the modern world, however, that instinct collides with ultra-processed foods that are easy to overconsume. The result is not just more eating, but poorer nutritional quality. Another critical issue is body composition. Weight loss is not just about losing pounds. It's about losing fat while preserving lean muscle. This distinction matters for health, strength, and long-term weight maintenance. Controlled studies have shown that when people diet while sleeping too little, they lose a smaller proportion of fat and a greater proportion of lean mass compared to those who sleep adequately. In other words, poor sleep can make weight loss less effective, even if the scale moves. This has important long-term consequences. Muscle mass plays a key role in metabolic health and energy expenditure. Losing muscle makes it easier to regain weight later. That's why many experts now argue that sleep should be addressed alongside nutrition and exercise, not treated as an optional extra. A calorie deficit without adequate sleep support is harder to maintain and can produce worse outcomes. Sleep timing is another key piece of the puzzle. Sleep is tightly linked to circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates hormones, metabolism, and energy use over a 24-hour cycle. When sleep schedules are irregular or misaligned, such as in shift work or chronic late-night routines, metabolic regulation suffers. Even when calorie intake is similar, people who eat and sleep at biologically inappropriate times often experience worse metabolic health. Late-night eating is closely connected to this issue. While responses vary between individuals, growing evidence suggests that eating large meals close to bedtime can interfere with sleep quality and metabolic regulation in some people. Eating against natural circadian rhythms doesn't automatically cause weight gain, but it can add resistance for people already struggling with weight loss. Sleep quality matters just as much as sleep duration. You can spend 8 hours in bed and still get poor quality sleep. One of the most common reasons is obstructive sleep apnea, a condition strongly associated with excess body weight. People with untreated sleep apnea often experience increased appetite, fatigue-driven overeating, and reduced motivation for physical activity. Recent clinical developments highlight how seriously experts take this connection. Weight loss has been shown to improve sleep apnea severity, and medical guidelines increasingly emphasize addressing both conditions together. Regulatory decisions in recent years have also reflected this understanding, recognizing that improving weight can meaningfully improve sleep-related breathing disorders. This reinforces the idea that sleep and weight are not separate systems, but deeply interconnected ones. At this point, an important question needs to be addressed. Does sleeping more automatically cause weight loss? The answer is no. Experts are very clear on this. Sleep is not a magic solution. You cannot outsleep a chronically excessive calorie intake. What sleep does is change the conditions under which weight loss occurs. It lowers appetite pressure, improves decision-making, supports muscle preservation, enhances recovery, and makes healthy behaviors easier to sustain. This distinction is crucial because it shifts the conversation away from blame. Many people believe they are failing at weight loss because they lack discipline. In reality, chronic sleep deprivation quietly undermines nearly every system involved in weight regulation. Fixing sleep does not guarantee success, but it removes a powerful obstacle that often goes unnoticed. From a practical perspective, experts recommend treating sleep as foundational infrastructure rather than a luxury. Consistent sleep and wake times help stabilize circadian rhythms, and allowing enough time in bed increases the chance of meeting true sleep needs. Reducing late caffeine intake and managing evening light exposure can further support better sleep quality, especially for people actively dieting, since calorie restriction itself can increase sleep disturbances. Several myths still persist. One is the idea that some people simply function fine on 5 hours of sleep. While individuals vary, population-level data consistently show higher health risks with habitual short sleep. Another myth is that sleep doesn't matter if calories are controlled. In real life, appetite, fatigue, stress, and consistency all matter, and sleep directly influences all of them. The science leads to a clear conclusion. If sleep is consistently short or irregular, weight loss becomes harder than it needs to be. Hunger becomes louder. Cravings become stronger. Progress feels fragile. On the other hand, improving sleep doesn't require extreme effort or expensive tools. It requires prioritization. So the real question isn't whether sleep matters for weight loss. That's already been answered by science. The real question is this: if you fixed your sleep for the next 30 days, how different would your results look, not just on the scale, but in how manageable the entire process feels? Because sometimes the most powerful change isn't eating less or training harder. Sometimes it's simply going to bed. If you want more science-based insights like this video, make sure to like and subscribe.